And there's no ocean in Monaghan, so
no, there isn't. Thank God.
is this an opportunity for Opal?
No, I don't think deep water is any place for a startup to be. You see the liabilities and risks that are involved. I mean, it would simply take out a company, and those risks are real. There's two areas we don't work in. We've stayed out of the water. In fact, my CFO, my partner, was the CFO for Mariner Energy. Mariner is a large it's a small public independent whose focus is the Gulf of Mexico in deep water, and it was precisely for those reasons why we chose not to go there. He was dealing with Katrina and Rita and Ivan coming through and tearing down all of the rigs. They were out of business for a while. They had insurance coverage on some of them, and he had to deal with all that. And he said, there's no way we're going to deal with that.
Does it create more demand, though, for land-based fuels?
Yes, actually, it hasn't disrupted production right now. That was not a well on production prior to that time, so it's not going to have impact. But what will have impact, our potential, there was, Obama instituted that no new wells would be drilled. So there's a question whether that's force majeure or whether, so there's a liability there. You've got rig commitments that are $1 million a day. Okay? And you've got signed contracts that have to be fulfilled. So there's a tremendous financial liability in making such a regulatory, we will not drill, and then having that imposed on the industry. Another reason why we're not there. So we look to, in my focus, and I have operated offshore, on top of just the liabilities, there's also logistics risk. Getting barges to go out and do shallow water drilling, having to transport. You just don't drive up there in your car and get on the rig. You have to schedule barges to take supplies off and on the rig, and it's just a logistical nightmare. I used to manage that, and I said, we're not going to go into deep water. We're not going to go even do anything in water. So we're on dry land, West Texas, and that was chosen for a very specific reason. That was to reduce our risk.
Any other questions? Jeff?
Is Opal involved in all three stages of the oil and gas? You call it cross-stream, upstream?
Cross-streams, yeah. No, we're simply an E&P, so exploration production. So what we do is we acquire land, we will explore and decide what's the best way to develop it. We'll drill wells, we'll produce it, and then somebody buys our oil at the wellhead. So there's a marketing company. And you look at margins and you think, oh gee, these oil producers are making such great money. Well, I will tell you, we're working off margins just like everyone else, and we've got operating costs that take roughly half the cost. We've got transporters, so when I take the oil from the wellhead to a company that's going to process our gas or our oil, they charge us, and so there's another incremental. Then we pay royalty, and the royalty owners don't share in any of the costs. They get straight revenues. They get straight income off of the top of the oil. So we have to cover that cost. And so you get down to a point where our operating costs, and with the service companies are always going out there and increasing their service rates, your margin just decreases. So we're fighting margins just like any other product.
Anything else? Yes?
Do you think North America still have a lot of oil that for you and the group to explore?
It's all around price. Okay, we will see, and I truly believe this, that with every level of price increase, new sources of oil do become available. It's a matter of technology and the cost of that technology to be able to extract it. America, U.S. Rockies have, and it's an issue around regulation, whether we're going to have access to those reserves. Right now in the U.S., we have the single largest oil reserve, and it's called oil shales. And it's out in the Rockies, and it's huge resources, billions of barrels. But we have no technology today that allows us to extract it. It's just too tight, it won't flow, it's not economic, you can't get it out at rates. Even the field that I'm operating, which is called the Sprayberry, and I had a little map of it out there on the one slide, and it's called the Sprayberry. That is a field, it's the 5th largest oil field in the U.S., and yet it's been known since 1910. But only until now do we have the technology, and we've changed some of the regulatory requirements around developing it that have allowed it to become an economic source to produce. So it's all around what the price of the commodity is and what the technology costs that we can use in order to get it. The thing that kept the oil being, BP tried this dome over the well and tried to collect it, so it was like an upside down funnel. And one of the problems that was created from that were something called methane hydrates. Methane hydrates have methane, but it's encased in water, ice, and it's a slush. But this slush is a huge resource. It was formed at high pressures and at cold temperatures, high pressures at the bottom of the ocean. There's a huge resource of methane hydrates around the world because they form naturally. But we don't have the technology in order to produce it economically and safely, because it's a huge safety risk. But there's huge amounts. It's all underneath the permafrost, around in the entire Arctic Circle, around anywhere on the ocean beds. The methane hydrates form from just normal organic decomposition. And we just don't have the resources and the technology to be able to develop it today.
Yes.
Is horizontal drilling a factor in the success of your company?
We haven't had a chance to apply it yet, but yes, that is one of the areas I intend to. BP, when I was in charge of the drilling organization, had done some pioneer work with regard to what's called coiled tubing drilling. Coiled tubing drilling is actually being used surface when we try to do infrastructure projects around civil engineering and replacing underground pipes over long distances. They will use coiled tubing drilling to be able to replace the existing concrete vessels with newer pipe. And we actually use the same technology, and one of the technology leaders had been BP up in Alaska, and I brought 2 technology people down from Alaska that was from their organization up in Alaska and embedded it into my organization when I was in charge of drilling in the onshore U.S. And we embedded that and started applying it, and it took reservoirs that we could not develop economically at that time, and suddenly we're able to open up a whole development opportunity that now we could get reserves economically with that technology, but nobody had even thought about doing that. And that's why I'm looking for gems that are missed by others, because people don't think along that line.